Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Better Call Saul, Season 4, Episode 10. It's called Winner, which is the season finale, so full spoilers for the episode as always. Here we are.
Yeah. Shall we start by saying, yeah, okay, I was wrong.
I can't remember what you're wrong about, but so do fill me in. What are you wrong about?
So, maybe 3 or 4 episodes ago, I said, I don't think there's gonna be a moment where it's like, okay, that's it.
Yes, there's a moment. There's a moment.
All right, screw it. Okay, there's a moment.
This was such a big moment, and what tells you it's the moment is not even Saul, it's Kim. Kim's what tells you this is the moment. Her
Yeah.
reaction is what tells you it's the moment.
And
But
then the follow up is, okay, that's definitely the moment.
yeah, it's the moment because he says the line. He says it's all good, man. Do you
Yeah.
know? Do you know what I think is genius about this episode? I think the writing, because this has been a very understated season compared to the previous seasons in terms of it being a slower build,
Mm.
sort of lower keynote.
I know there've been a lot of people who haven't been as into it this season. They've been like, no, it's too slow.
Yeah, and I remember a lot of people saying that about Breaking Bad season 2, and I never really got that at the time either, and I always felt like, well, once it ramps up in season 3, your complaints are kind of going away anyway. This is, and I feel kind of the same way here. This served its purpose. It really did,
Yeah.
and I think this finale is kind of exceptional. Particularly that final scene is exceptional, and or when I say final scene, I'm including the actual hearing as
Yeah,
well
I thought so.
as a whole thing. And the reason why I say that is because I think it plays with your expectations and it subverts them multiple times, but every time it subverts them, it makes more sense than the last time. And that's
Yeah.
what's genius. I always give Last Jedi, the other shitty Star Wars movie. I always give Last Jedi shit for subverting expectations, but not actually like making sense when it's subverted, right? And you can agree or disagree with that, but in this show, in this finale, this final 5-10 minutes, everything works and makes sense. He's playing the con, and then it's like he's actually having the moment where Kim's been waiting all season for him to finally hit him that Chuck is dead and kind of accept what that is and kind of actually grieve over it. And it's just buyable enough because it does feel real. It feels like he's realizing that Chuck did love him as a brother, but not as a lawyer, and it feels like he's understanding that. And then there's a point where he's almost going too far, and you start to think, wait a minute, is this just more of a con? And then not only does he reveal so, even if you saw it coming, even if you think to yourself, I think he's playing them here.
Yeah.
I think the way it hits Kim means that it works no matter what. If it works, if you're along with her and you equally get gut punched, then fantastic. If you're not along with her, then you're dreading her finding out, and it's equally a gut punch. I think it works either way, which is the beauty of it.
Definitely. Because I would say I was along with him. Like I knew, I kind of like, okay, I got pretty quickly it was an act. And I'm like, oh god, she doesn't know.
Do you know? Like I say, I had a turning point. There was the point in the thing for me where I realised this wasn't real, because it started off very authentic, because it felt like, because it pairs with another scene in this episode. There's a great sequence in the middle of this episode where he's on the committee for the scholarships that they do every year now in Chuck's name, and he's on the board, and we get this montage of all these kids coming in, and they're all,
Yeah.
and credit where credit's due, these all actual like high school age students, as opposed to most TV shows where they're like 20.
Because they don't really need to do much acting. It's like, right, go in, say 3 words.
Exactly, but the reason I say that is because I'm so used to TV high school age, they all look too young to me, but that's not true. They're actually the right age. I'm just so used to TV having aged up kids.
Yes.
But they all come in, and he gives this little, because Hamlin's kind of perked himself up over the year, right? He's kind of back
He's
on form.
looking healthier. His hair's back in shape.
Yes, that hair. Yeah, you have to meticulous care of that hair. It's very important.
Yeah. I think that's how you know the state of Hamlin's mind is how's the hair.
But and he makes this argument for this girl who was lifted for shoplifting once, right? And he kind of sticks up for her. He says, "Hey, I was the only one who voted for her to get the because they've all voted, and like there's 3 front runners and they've got 3 scholarships. Like, oh well, I mean, there's nothing to argue about them. We've got 3 places. There's 3 that are winning. Why not?" And Jimmy chimes in and says, "Hey, maybe her perspective, because she's someone who did get caught doing something wrong, suffered the consequences, and understands and respects that someone was there for her. Maybe that viewpoint is valid." And he's kind of sticking up for himself in a way here, of course. Like he's kind of talking about himself. And and Hamlin kind of said, "That's a good argument, Jimmy." And they still vote against her, right? It still doesn't happen. But I believe Hamlin when he respects what he said. I actually I take Hamlin at his word here. I think he does genuinely appreciate
Well,
what the point he just made.
yeah, Hamlin's never been disingenuous.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But Jimmy runs out after the girl who was in in discussion and
Like, what the hell are you on about?
catches up with her, and she just kind of looks like, why is this weird 40-year-old man accosting me in the street? What's going on? And he tries to give her this pep talk that says, look, they're never going to accept you because you did one thing wrong. And again, he's really talking about himself. He sees some of him in her. And she's not done anything nearly as bad as some of the shit he's pulled. She's done one thing. She's done one thing and didn't get a scholarship for it. But he sees enough of himself in her that he gives her this speech about, look, it doesn't matter if they don't give a shit about you. They're never going to accept you. They're never going to let you in. You just take it anyway. And what I think is great about this scene, not only does he break down in the car afterwards when he goes back into the car, and the car doesn't start. My first read of that scene, which I think ultimately is the right one, is him accepting that he is never going to be, accepted by them. He's never going to be included in this world. He realizes that. But I think what's wonderful about this scene where he's reading Chuck's letter and then he says, you know what, I'm not going to use this letter. This is between me and him, and he gives his own speech. One of the things he says is he talks about how not only did Chuck love him as a brother but not a lawyer and kind of admitted his flaws. He says Chuck always knew who he was. He was never unclear about it. So you can read this scene paired with that other scene as him realizing who he is and accepting it, right? And I think that works either way, even with the outcome. But you could read that as he's accepting that and he'll keep fighting to sort of prove himself and be better. Or the actual way you're going to read it once you get to the end of the episode is that, no, he realizes he's the scummy guy and he's always going to be scummy and he's accepting that. And that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, that was what I was kind of expecting the whole time, especially when it gets to the point where he goes, oh, I want to, keep the McGill name going.
Oh, I laughed at that.
I just, oh, he's getting rid of that immediately. Like, you just know where this is going.
Because you know he's going to be Saul Goodman. We've known this since the start of the show.
But
so
know it has to be soon for his law license.
Oh, yeah, relatively speaking, yeah. But it's when he said that, I just started laughing because I'm like... Because even if you read this scene as legit and forthcoming, eventually he's going to change. Eventually he's not even going to use that name.
I love the idea that he says that as like a slap in the face to Chuck's like, screw you, I'm not even going to use the name. It's not even going to be anything good anymore.
And Joe, I think the saddest part of that speech is when you realise he's using it as a lie and he's taken the lesson that he is, where he's like, no, I'm never going to be accepted, so screw you, I'm going to take it and do it my own way. Is that the thing he actually says is actually the thing he should be taking from it. And that's the really sad part. It's kind of staring him in the face that Chuck did love him as a brother. And I think that's the purpose of the opening scene, the flashback, when Jimmy first becomes a lawyer. And Chuck wants to leave the party afterwards, but he forces him to... And there's a great little moment in this karaoke as well, where Chuck decides that Jimmy's shit at this and takes over. And that's kind of like just their relationship in a nutshell. You're shit at this, I'm going to do
it. Jimmy's like, come on, share it. And he's reluctant, and then he's like, all right, fine, I'll do it myself.
Yeah, and he takes over, which is perfect for the... And, Jimmy just stands back, claps along, and he goes with it. But when he takes him home afterwards and they start singing in bed together, and Chuck doesn't go home, he stays there, and he says, what do you want for breakfast in the morning? And they start singing together. And it's like, yeah, okay, he professionally, he has disrespected him. And don't get me wrong, we have seen Chuck pull a lot of shit with Jimmy, and it's felt very cold. He should have been more honest with him, that is absolutely true.
Yeah.
But he did seem to be a good brother who looked out for him in every other way, from what we've seen. I mean,
one of the earliest things that we saw in the show was Chuck rescuing Jimmy from a cell. And here's the interrogation room.
Here's where I think this is genius. And something that marries this plot with Kim, and we've already talked about how it relates to Kim and how he's got someone that he's sort of trying to prove himself to, and so on. But here's where this point I think marries to Kim's plot absolutely perfectly. With Kim, his entire thing with her is that despite the fact that she loves him, despite the fact that she lives with him, despite the fact they're in a committed relationship, he's hung up on the fact that she won't do that one thing, which is share a law office or become a partnership. Yeah. He's hung up in that one detail, despite the fact that everything else in their lives, she is with him completely and mutually. It's the same thing with Chuck. He's there for him, he does everything for him, but because he's not there in the capacity of a lawyer, the capacity of a professional relationship, he can't get past that. It's the same thing.
It's the the disrespect that he feels, I think.
No,
Because
sure.
it's like, okay, they like me, they love me, but they don't respect me professionally, and that's what hurts him.
Yeah, and I think that's what's beautiful about this is that I think there's a moment in this episode when I realised that everything we're doing with Kim, where that one thing is important. That when she brought that up, that a few episodes ago when they had that fight, or not even the fight, it was the fight actually. Yeah, it was a fight. I was thinking of the scene in the diner, but they thought that's she actually brought it up in the fight later on. Is he's fixated in that one thing. It doesn't matter that everything else is part. They're shared and they're together. Like presumably forever. I mean, they're not proposed to each other yet, but I mean, like it's going in that direction.
Definitely.
They're a very settled couple in that regard. And she puts up with so much shit. She helps him with so much of his crazy shit, and he never stops to realize that hey, maybe I should acknowledge the fact that no matter how many crazy things I get into, no matter how many crazy times I have to do one of these roses, and she's there even though she doesn't like it. And she does kind of like it to an extent, because I think the beautiful part about this is that there are stuff from Kim's perspective where you analyse and go, okay, this is why Jimmy appeals to her. This is why she sees something in him, and so on. We've talked about that
we've
before.
been over the last few episodes, especially.
Yeah. But everything that he's going through with Kim is just a repeat of what he's kind of went through with Chuck. And I think that's what Kim realises kind of in that final moment. I think when at first the gut punch of him saying, "Oh, they bought it, those suckers." One of them even was, I think, had a tear, and we saw her crying. We knew she was crying as well.
Yeah.
And then he says to the woman comes up and says, "Hey, it's good news," and it's they go off. It's like, "Hey, I need a form as well. I'm not going to be practiced under the name Jimmy McGill." And Kim's like, "What?" And he's like, "It's all good, man." And that's it. And she's left there standing.
He gives her the finger guns, and that's it.
It might be the best closing scene of a finale yet. I don't know if it's the best finale yet, but it's the best closing scene of a finale yet. The final moment to leave us on. Because this is the moment. This is Saul. This is okay. We're on this path.
That's the moment.
It's obviously we've lost over all the other ruses leading up to this. Him standing at the gravestone so that people on the anniversary, so that people will see him. People in the law community will see him, and paying for the library and all the rest of it. Got the film crew spreading rumors that he paid for it, which he did, he's mortified that he paid for it, but he did.
Yeah, it's not just spreading rumors. It's true. It's just he didn't want to put his name publicly because this looks better.
Yeah, he's meant to be genuine. He wants it to be out there, but doesn't want to, because he's really disappointed. He wants to eat the buffet, and he's not allowed to because he's meant to be too sad to eat. But he paid for it all. He's upset. I mean, I'm not saying what he's doing is right, but I would equally be upset if I couldn't eat my own buffet. I'm just saying.
I don't think I could ever be too sad to eat. No, if there's a buffet there, I'm sad. That's just going to cheer me up.
I think I have to be devastated if to lose my appetite. Absolutely devastated.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been there.
I have to have had the shock and horror of something really, really sickening in your stomach, which doesn't happen often, thankfully. It shouldn't for most people, but a year after a funeral,
Yeah, exactly.
I'll eat a burger.
Oh, burger.
It's fine.
Proper hungry.
Because there's that thing earlier on where he's eating the bear claw, which also made me want a bear claw, I'm not going to lie. And he's just kind of mouthing it down, and they're talking about him pretending to be sad, and the entire time he's just wolfing this down, he doesn't care. And I'm like, okay, so this is in the path we've been on, but you think for a second you're almost fooled into thinking you might have had this breakthrough, but he's actually just went deeper in the other direction. He went off the deep end.
Yeah. Again, I think it's you kind of get it pretty quickly while he's at the gravestone, because it's so over the top that I'm like,
oh sure, yeah.
You just like, okay, this is a ruse.
Well, that's the beauty of that hearing scene at the end, is that the acting actually has to play it genuine. He has to, Bob Odenkirk had to perform that,
convince them.
Yeah. So he has to kind of convince us, and we can kind of guess, and there's maybe a point where you go, this is maybe nah. I'm wondering if he's actually up to this. Is this just a long con? I think the acting has to be good enough to pull that off, and it works. And I think the performances in this show are fantastic all around, and Kim afterwards, her reaction's gold. It's kind of the perfect final moment get into the next season. Maybe the last one, although I wouldn't be shocked to hear there's going to be 6. I wouldn't be shocked that if next season's the last season in this part of the timeline, and then there's a season post Breaking Bad. That would not shock me.
Yeah, just please don't do the bullshit splitting seasons. Just call them two separate seasons.
Oh sure, yeah, I wasn't thinking they were going to do that.
No, but you know what they're like.
I don't think they would anyway, because this has got shorter seasons in it. It's only 10 episodes, so I think
That's true.
Whereas Breaking Bad, it was like 13 typically, and they bumped it to 16 and split it in half.
I know. Yeah, I'm just thinking. Obviously, since that was a thing, then Vikings, which obviously different network entirely, but they started doing it where they were like from season 4, it's like part 1 and part 2, and the seasons before were 10 episodes, and part 1 and part 2 were just 10 episodes each. I'm like, well, why not just call it 4 or 5, 6, and 7?
Yeah, that's weird. Do you know what I think it is? I think it's more about contracts and how they pay people. I don't think it's got anything to do with like the neatness of the numbering for us. I think it's just purely.
Oh yeah, okay. You think we had you for four seasons, no matter how many episodes were in that season.
I don't know if it's specifically that exact point, but it might be, or something like that, where
I can see it.
Because we're calling it one season, we have you under contract still, or something like that. Maybe they still have to film it as one season in one big block, but they're essentially getting 2 seasons out of it, kind of thing.
Yeah, okay, I'm with you.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be the case with this though. Because they've not done it with the previous seasons, and I know they hadn't done it with Breaking Bad either. I think the difference here though is that with Breaking Bad, they didn't know what they had, and it became this huge hit by the end. I think, and they wanted to extend it as much as they could. I think with this, they know exactly what they had going in. They knew.
They know where they are.
Yeah,
like,
it's very consistent.
They know exactly what they're milking it for.
Exactly. Equally though, as much as I say we could get a final season that's set, post Breaking Bad, I could also see it just been one episode. I could see and not the last episode. I could see it being like 2 episodes from the end. We get one full black and white episode.
I can see it just being, how this season we've had a lot of different openings. Like in various points of the timeline. I can see it just being a season just dedicated, just the openings, and it'll build.
Okay, but every episode will have a black and white opening.
Yeah,
okay, I could see that. Yeah.
That'd work for me.
It just depends how much they've got. But I think I saw producers say they haven't ruled out the idea of a post Breaking Bad season. So I think that's why it's on the table. It's not
on the cards. Yeah. Has it been renewed already?
Yeah, it was renewed way back at the start of the season. So.
I thought so. It was much earlier than usual, wasn't it?
Yeah, usually we don't get it till after it's aired or just before the finale, but this was it. This was renewed. I think just after episode 1 aired.
Yeah, so. I thought I remembered that.
So good stuff. I mean, Saul. I think it's a lower key season, but Saul's journey this year and Kim's journey and how they've related to each other has been such an important thing. And actually, I love that it's kind of the inverse of last season. Remember last season we thought, it's all going to go shit by the end. This season it was going kind of bad in the middle, and we thought, no, they're going to be back together by the end. And they kind of were, but the last second, they swerved us.
Yeah, he just has to ruin it in that last final 20 seconds.
It is. That's all it took. That's all it took was the final 20-30 seconds.
What a prick.
That's all it took. It's fantastic though.
Yeah, it is.
I can't. And it's the writing here that I mean, obviously the acting's phenomenal and the direction's usually great, but it's the writing, the way it plays with your expectations, and how every single time it pulls a swerve, it makes more sense than what it was before every time in that final 10 minutes. Yeah, and it's how well the characters have been set up until this point. It's gold.
So, something I love about this is by contrast, the Mike plot.
Mm-hmm.
There's no swerve at all. It's just straight through, exactly what you expect, and that delivers so perfectly. And in contrast with, so we don't need to do swerves in both. We can have our straight line, and we can go all over the place.
And what made the Mike one work as a straight line is because you're terrified of the ending. You don't want that.
You know where it's going the whole time. We said it last week. We knew exactly where it was going to go. But you just don't want it to. You're waiting for it to. You're hoping it swerves you to have a way out.
Yeah, and we had some fun, Mike, with a plan, try to talk to the guy at the not the bank, but the travel. Thingamajig, and we see him, take the leaflets, and he's formulating a plan. He's calling the right places, and he's on the hunt. But Lalo has been watching Gussie's place, and he sees
one
Mike.
One of the earliest moments I loved in this plot, this episode was right in the first scene. It's like, Mike's sending out the troops to go find him. He's like, you guys go check the highway, one north, one south. You're staying here. And as soon as they're all gone, he's like, right, okay, where's the money? And he immediately is like, no, he's like, I'll just send them off. I'm dealing with this myself, but I got to make it look
Yeah,
like they're doing something.
I got that as well. It was kind of like, I mean, sure they might find him, but he was keeping the most likely approach for himself by
Yeah,
far.
he wanted to keep it personal.
And he tried to, when he gave Gus the letter, and because he even said in the letter he was coming back. He was only going to be gone for 4 days. He went to go see his wife.
Yeah.
He's going to come
and
back.
and Mike's like, no, I do believe him.
Yeah, he's kind of sticking up for him. He knows he's messed up, but he's trying to like talk Gus out of having him killed basically, and having his wife killed, which is also kind of under threat here.
Yeah.
And Laylo's following him, and we get this car sequence with him. Mike realizes he's been followed, and he takes him into the car park, and he's chewing the gum. And this is where you're like, okay, Mike's got a plan.
Yeah, you're like, what? You don't know what it is yet, but you're like, okay, he's doing something.
Yeah, I actually thought I was just put gum over the front of the slot, the parking ticket.
Yeah, I thought it was a really neat shot here. When he reaches into the glove box to get the gum, and you see the gun in there as well. It's like, okay, that's just reminding us that that's there.
Yeah, and what's great about it is we don't need to be reminded Mike has a gun. I'd expect him to have a gun somewhere.
Right, of course, but
yeah.
it's just like, here you go, it's there.
Yeah, it's good foreshadowing for later because it's the gun he uses later. Do you know what I liked about this? We talked about subverting expectations. Here's a little subversion that I want to point out. So there's a third party in this scene where Laylo's in the car, Mike's in his car, and they're kind of waiting to move. There's a third party, a guy with a big like slushy. He's got a big cup, right?
Yeah.
And you see him with this big cup, and you okay, right? That's going to be spilled somewhere by the end of this.
It's going everywhere, yeah.
Right. And I think in traditional movie and TV rules, you're thinking there's going to be some close calls. There's going to be like, oh, it's almost spelled. And, oh, no, it's almost. And then it's going to be the joke at the end. Not that. I mean, Saul can have a joke at the end like this. It can have the punchline. Saul's not against doing that from time to time.
No.
But there's a certain way of playing with it. But instead, the next time you see it, it's just, that's it. It's going. It's gone. Like, there's no build up to it. It's like it sets it up, and it's just no, it's not a thing.
Laylo's so damn impatient that that we don't get the close calls.
Exactly. Which I think this episode and last episode obviously gives us his personality last time. I think this one gave us a lot of how he operates, and I think the scene. Now, I actually think my one complaint of this episode is I do think him crawling in the ceiling like a serial killer, almost like Michael Myers-esque, the way he disappears off camera, is a little bit on the silly side. But I can roll with it. And I'll roll with it because I get the point the scene's trying to make. Because he goes back to the guy who works there, and he's like, oh god. Mike of course, was playing very civil. He had a convincing story. He had no intention of harming the kid. Layla's probably just going to kill him, right?
Yeah.
But Layla can't just pull out the gun and ask questions from that side of the glass. He has to invade his space and get in there.
Yeah.
It's just like the kitchen. It's just like the kitchen with Natural. He had to be in there already. He had to be in his personal space.
I think this one's a little bit even more, literal that he has to be in there because, it's a place dealing with money. They're like, yeah, okay, this is probably bulletproof glass.
Oh, sure, yeah. But I think it's more about how he operates here. I think it's symbolizing how he's not just happy with getting the thing done. He has to get in and make you uncomfortable. And we see the kids like lying on the floor. He's dead afterwards. Like we've had it teased that Layla's bad news, and we're just kind of waiting to get the bigger glimpse of this. I love the scene where because he gets enough information that he phones the place, where Werner's staying, and he calls him pretending to be one of Gus's men. And he's like, "Oh, I'm calling on behalf of Gus Fring," and he's just trying to get him to speak, just mention details and
just get something. And obviously, I was like, "Well, tell Michael I'll be back." Did Michael not show you the letter? And he's like, okay, I have a name."
Yeah, Michael, and then he keeps mentioning, "Oh, just the wall, the blasting will be fine, the construction will go fine." He's like, "Oh, there's construction," so he's getting little tidbits of things.
Nothing that'll place anything, nothing that'll tell him what they're building, just that they're doing something.
And my favourite part of this scene is Mike puts his hand, because Mike's in pursuit. He's on his way there, and we know he's on his way there.
Yeah.
And his hand just comes in, and he pulls the phone out of his hand, and he just puts the phone up to his ear, and there's just silence. And Layla's like, "You still there? You still there?" And there's like 5 seconds pass, and then he smiles and goes, "Is this Michael?" He knows what's happened, and I'm like, okay. Laylo's interesting, and more so than that, he's an interesting adversary for Mike because
he's almost on Mike's level.
Yeah, because the way he plans, the way he went back and like also discovered where the guy went, the way he like thought the process through, the way even the way that it was at the start with the binoculars, like just watching the place, he's methodical. He thinks like Mike
Writing
does.
down all the license plates for
Yeah.
the trucks.
So clearly this is like maniacal, not maniacal. I'm thinking in terms of
Methodical.
no, I'm thinking in terms of D&D alignments. This is
Oh, okay.
chaotic evil Mike, whereas Mike is like neutral.
He's lawful evil.
Oh, he's lawful. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. He's lawful evil.
Yeah.
But they seem to be almost equal in terms of the smarts,
Yeah,
which
at the moment, from what we've seen, Lalo seems slightly behind because Mike outsmarted him, right?
I think
And
Lalo.
Lalo had to just brute force his way through.
I think Lalo's behind because he's got a temper. I think the way he just smashed through the car barrier was showing us that he's as smart as Mike, but he lets his emotion get the better of him when he's tested.
Yes, which realistically means he's probably a lot more dangerous.
Yeah, that's true. No, it means he's a lot more of a loose cannon.
Yeah,
I hate to use that phrase because it's such a cheesy phrase, but that's kind of
it
it
is.
applies in this case.
Interesting that we had all this stuff, but no Nacho again this time.
No, Nacho, but we'll get Nacho. I'm sure he'll be back.
Oh, of course he'll be back. It was interesting that we didn't even check in with him in the final episode.
I guess it was just like here's the focus of what the final is, and it's these two plot lines, and we're just going to.
Yeah, I mean, and it was packed. I mean, this was longest episode of the season, right? This was a full hour.
So was the last one pretty much. Both this and the last one were
Okay.
both longer. Because as soon as it started, I checked because I was curious. Oh, I wonder if this one's longer as well. And I go, oh, it's a full hour. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
So that's cool. But yeah, so at least this scene where he's got Werner and he drives him out to this middle of nowhere location, and he's not even told Gus yet because he goes on the phone and tells Gus, and Gus basically is like, nah,
Got to do it.
I'm sending men, stay there. And Mike, he tries to talk him out of it one last time, and then when he's not going to relent, he says, I'll take care of it. Because like he said earlier in the episode, this is my mess.
Yeah.
So he's willing to do it.
And he gets around to phone his wife and be like, "Go home. Do not, get yourself mixed up in this." Basically.
Yeah, pretty much. And I really like that. That was like a sign of like he still cares about this guy. He still cares about the innocent wife. He's making a point of saying, "Hey, look, I'm about to kill." He doesn't say those words, but
he knows what's going on.
He's getting it. At this point, he understands what's happening. He's like, "No, tell her to go home. There's people following her. You can't give her an indication of why she can't, come. You have to lie. Just say whatever." And it's kind of upsetting because he has to kind of make her mad at him. Like his final words to his wife is basically him like getting all demanding and bossy.
Just shut up and go. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's going to be her final memory of him. But it's kind of this thing where he has to do that, or she might be in harm's way herself.
And he knows exactly what's going on because he's like, when she stops hearing from me, she's gonna phone the police. There's gonna be it's gonna get reported.
But they've got a plan. They've got lawyers.
Yeah.
They've got a story they're going to have set up.
Yeah.
All the rest of it. And this is another one where the acting just completely nails the whole thing.
It is, yeah. It's so good.
When Mike's telling him to phone his wife, and then he kind of realizes why he has to phone his wife, he's like, "Oh, let me call her right now." And he starts shouting, and he's like, "Calm down. You're not phoning her until you've calmed down." Like again, Mike's very methodical. He makes sure that everything's kind of in place. It's almost like the last thing he can do for him as a friend is make sure that his wife's okay, and that's what he's doing here. But he's going to obviously take care of it, and
takes him out back, so to speak.
Takes him out back, and he makes it easy. So I'm going to walk over there and look at the stars, and we get that wide shot, the gorgeous wide shot of the gunshot, where he just walks up behind them. One of my favorite shots of the episode is when they're walking out, and Mike's behind them. It's from the front of Werner, but it's over the shoulder, and Mike's just out of focus. Like he's walking behind them constantly.
It's like Werner knows he's there. He can't see him, but he just knows he's coming, and he doesn't know when he's going to shoot, but he knows it's coming.
Yeah. It is a fantastic scene. And this was before the court, the hearing scene, and it was like, damn, like just hitting
that moment of Mike pulling the trigger with the wide shot could have been a season-ending shot.
It could have been, yeah. In fact, one of my favorite things as well is that when Mike's on the phone and he's speaking to Gus, like someone was on the phone pretending to be one of your guys. Do you have any idea who that is? And Gus just says, yes. Like he just knows it was that. It was Layla who came to see him. He just knows it's him.
Yeah.
And I like that. And we're assuming with Gale, of course, and Gus is pissed that his basement's not finished. He's livid. and Mike's just there to kind of acknowledge that the job is done, and that's pretty much it. But Gail's all excited. But no, this was a fantastic season closer. I think there's been such a great arc this season of Mike going, deeper into Gus's regime and pulling bigger jobs, doing darker things, and Saul's journey to finally kind of becoming Saul, making that choice that this is what I'm going to be. It's
been
a big
good.
Deal. Yeah.
I know some people have found it too slow. I know a guy I worked with really hated this season. Thought it was just boring by comparison. But man, I've been so into it the whole time.
I think the way the characters are written, I don't think there's such a thing in this show as a boring scene. I don't think it exists. The way the scenes are paced, the way they're directed, the way the dialogue is
we have
played.
Had so few criticisms this season. Like, you can probably count the amount of genuine criticisms we've had on one hand.
Yeah.
Like, okay, the Bell speech.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing. That's the biggest flaw of this season, is that Bell speech.
That's the worst part of the season. It's not that bad. It's like, a waste of 2 minutes maybe.
Yeah.
And a feeling of, did we really need that? But that's the worst thing all season.
Absolutely. Maybe the worst thing all show, to be honest.
I'm not willing to stake that just on memory, but you could be right.
And I love that Saul's turn here, that Saul's journey and his moment, it's still to do with Chuck. It's still about the relationship that Chuck wouldn't return. And it's beautiful. It makes everything since episode 1 has felt like part of one journey, as any good serialized TV show should feel like. And here we are. We're kind of getting deep into the mythology of the show at this point, because that's why I think it's 2 seasons left at most, because I think we're at that point in the story.
Well, he's Saul now, right? Like, that's it.
Yeah.
So now things we've got left to see, his working relationship with Mike as Saul, and Gus through proxy,
and building up his clientele. Moving locations perhaps as well.
And
thing.
We need to see, the whatever happens with Kim, and whatever this is going to happen with Lalo.
And Natural,
Lalo and Saul specifically.
Oh, sure, but we know Natural's involved, because Saul mentions him when he mentioned Lalo. And I think what's good about that is that these last couple episodes have really built up Lalo as this force to be reckoned with in the show. And if that's going to be a big part of the main plot, like next season, I'm kind of okay with that. I think it's actually very confident of them to spend 2 episodes at the end of a season setting him up for next year.
Yeah, because it would have been easy just to bring him in next season, start from there, right? But no, or alternatively, just introduce him here at the end and go, oh, that's your tease. But no, they established him properly.
Yeah, enough that I feel the threat and I understand him as a character. To a point. I mean, I'm sure they'll throw more at me.
Yeah, we don't know all his deep motivations,
Yeah.
but we know what he's capable of, and we know his objectives.
Yeah. So minor complaint would be him Batmaning out of the scene and then just falling through the ceiling was a little bit goofy. Just a little bit on the silly side.
Yeah. But I mean, what, 30 seconds out of an hour?
No, that's true. Although the Bell speech was also him, so technically the 2 faults I've had in the past couple of episodes have both been Lalo related. Even though everything else with them I've liked, so I mean it's not really I'm worried about him. But
this one, I think it was a Lalo character thing. Okay, no, that was just because it was him. Whereas the Bell thing was just the idea of let's explain the Bell that I didn't like. Layla was irrelevant.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Better Call Saul is very good, people.
Yeah. This is probably going to rank pretty high on our end of year list, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm not going to promise an already cancelled a Breaking Bad when Saul's finished, but I think it's something that's circling the possibilities.
It's possible, yeah.
I feel like because by the time we get to the end of this, well, it's 5 seasons, 6 seasons. It'll have been 6 years since I watched Breaking Bad. At that point, it'll be perfect time for a dive in.
I've not seen it since this started.
Yeah, in 1 week, nice slow pace. Which is actually much slower than I originally watched, because I binged just before season 5 started originally. So it was only season 5 I watched, week to week. So
you got the worst cliffhanger though. to wait
I
for.
did,
Didn't
yes.
you?
I got the cliffhanger in the middle of season 5 where they took a year off between episodes, and I was livid at AMC, the bullshit
Yeah,
they were
you
pulling.
you really should have just waited till 5 Part 2.
It was too good though. I was too into it.
Yeah, yeah.
It was too good. Anyway, that is Better Call Saul season finale. It is fantastic. In a word. So let us know what you thought of the episode. Let us know what you thought of the season as a whole. Like and subscribe. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fudge for channel updates. If you want to support the channel and the show and everything we do here, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can do that over there. Get some bonuses and so on. Get some stuff early. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?